I'm Alexis with WeTransact, and we are here today going through our panel all about founders' responsibility and accountable due diligence as well as leadership. So we are excited. Thank you, Amy, for joining us. Amy is the head of the Pepperdine Most Fundable Companies list. And Amy, why don't you tell us a little more? We're thrilled to have you.
Thanks for having me. I'm thrilled to be here. Yes, I am AmyWood, and I work for Pepperdine Grazie Dio Business School out here in Southern California. And we run a program called Pepperdine Most Fundable Companies. And it is an annual program where we offer an online resource for founders to learn about investor diligence. So from an outside investor's point of view, what those potential investors would be interested in knowing and learning about a company, a startup, in order to make an investment decision. And so we offer that through an online survey. It's available to any US-based startup. They don't have to be affiliated with Pepperdine. And in fact, in 2021, this year, we had 3,300 companies take our initial survey, and they represented all 50 U.S. states for the second year in a row. So we're happy and pleased to have that outreach. So we provide free feedback forms to any founder that takes what we call our qualifier survey. Okay. And then layer on top of that, you mentioned the list. Layer on top of that an annual list that we publish of the top companies that we learn about as a result of all the companies that take our survey each year.
I love that you're actually highlighting those who have completed and gone through the diligence process. One thing that's really important about diligence is not only being prepared, but there is a responsibility as a founder to do the diligence. And I hear from a lot of founders like, oh, I'd be happy to do due diligence at the end, right? Tell me you're going to write me a check and then I'll do it. Or tell me, things like that. It's often thought of as, I don't want to have to do all this extra work. And one of the things we want to frame shift is this is not extra work. This is the job of being a founder and a CEO, is constantly doing the diligence, making sure things are in place, thinking about these important questions and strategic approaches that our companies are taking. We're responsible to ourselves, to our employees, to our members, to our investors. And so we want to normalize that due diligence is part of the job. It's not I'll go through it if they're going to write me a check. So that's the frame shift of the importance of why we wanted to have this session with you. Tell me a little bit, I'm curious the drop-off rate, because we'll see if that data follows. Diligence is so much about data, looking at the feedback. Are things matching our thesis? Are things matching what we think is going to happen? How does the first survey, does it drop off? Like, what are the numbers of people who actually complete the survey? What's that percentage look like?
Yeah, I don't have the exact number, but we do lose a lot of people through that process. And for us, that's just as important, right? And as you said, it's an aspect of strategic planning. And so what some founders realize is that once we start diving into questions, and many at this stage are checkboxes or right. Yes, no answers. They're not free form, there's a lot of typing, but it's for a lot of the majority of founders, it's very eye-opening. And what makes this a little bit different is programs that come out of a lot of schools, they think we're a pitch competition, right? So they think, oh, I'm going to apply to Pepperdine Most Fundable Companies and it's going to take me, 10 minutes. And we're not a pitch competition. We really our aim is to educate founders about the diligence process and help them understand what it involves, that it is very broad. It covers every aspect of your business plan. And so we do lose a lot of people, but for us, that's important because hopefully we're helping them prevent making a mistake later on, or getting to the point, as you said, Alexis, where they say, well, I'll get to that later. And then once a potential investor starts to dive in, they don't have the answers to those questions. And, that may be, a relationship that's not materialize in a positive way for the founders and the investor, and sort of a missed opportunity. So we're hoping to help prevent those missed opportunities and or provide reinforcement for those who are ready and have the information, have done their homework, or maybe they've raised funds in the past, but they feel that our program and our process is a way to give them some exposure that they otherwise might not get. So we really see the full range, and we welcome all outcomes as a result.
I love that you guys are really looking at diligence as an educational tool. That's one thing that's really important in terms of asking these questions, thinking about them as a founder, is you recognize what you don't have or what you might be missing, but more importantly, what maybe you just need to work on. Mm-hmm. And a lot of this is just everything's a work in progress. Due diligence is like a living document. One thing we want to normalize is that this is an ongoing process. Diligence isn't just a one-time thing to get investment. It's not just a one-time thing. It is being a responsible leader, constantly updating this living document, so to speak, in whatever form you might put it in. And so, Amy, what you guys provide in terms of the feedback, I mean, is there an application fee? How does it work for the founder, price-wise? Does this cost something? Right. Obviously, time is always an investment, but
that's exactly what we charge. That's what I say. We charge investors we charge startup founders with their time, essentially. If they're willing to go through the process, it's hopefully they're taking away from it what they put in. And oftentimes it's a team effort, right? It's not just the founder, but it's the founding team and who are working on it. So no, we do not charge founders to take our surveys and get our feedback reports. Our first, I mentioned that qualifier survey, our first survey, which is, we call it our quarterfinals round. It is, we do provide feedback to all the founders in the form of a report. It is automated, yet it is customized to each founder and their responses to our survey. And so that's how we are able to serve that many founders without, as we say, without charging them, because it is an automated feedback report that we provide. Once we enter our semifinal stage, we invite around 100 companies. So we do narrow the pool once we start to hone in on who do we think can potentially make our published list. That group is much smaller, simply because we provide another round of feedback. We have another round of survey questions, and they are more open-ended. So those are a bit more involved, but that again is where we really start to, I think it's really valuable strategic work for the founders. And then we do have an analyst team and a review panel. And so we provide more specific, we have a lead analyst assigned to each company, for example, and provide a more detailed round of feedback to any founder who completes our semifinals round. And again, that's at no charge to any of the founders. And we've had feedback from many founders who say that they've used both the feedback report as well as their responses to our questions. They've used them as part of the diligence process with potential investors. Others have used it with their board to say, here is a level of thinking and review and planning that we've performed in an introspective way, and the external feedback that we've received in response to that as a tool for them and their strategic plan going forward.
That's so important, because we often hear in the startup world, the old world of the startup world, which is you pitch, you have your meeting, then they say they're interested in investing, and then at that point, due diligence. And it's at the end. And we really love and want to normalize that you should start with it. This is how you really make sure you're covering your bases. You find out what you don't know. We don't know what we don't know. And I think, more data, more feedback, to leverage it with your board, to leverage it as information you could share with your advisors, to also leverage it to demonstrate or exceed maybe an angel investor's expectation, where they don't expect you early on to have thought through so much, can often convert even an early angel investor to write that check, because you're going to be so much more prepared. That's going to give them the confidence that as a leader, you're going to be responsible with their investment. You have this process. We like to think of diligence almost as like a muscle. It's an entrepreneur muscle. You just have to continually work it out. It will get easier and easier the more you do it, but you've got to start training it. You have to start training your brain to ask these questions and to be thinking these types of things. So there's so much value, of course, to what you guys are doing. The fact that you're able to keep it, nothing's free. So in terms of the value that is being paid forward, it's really our data. So, this helps Pepperdine and research, right? This helps pay it forward for other founders and improve entrepreneurship as a whole. Can you tell us more about how the data is used that keeps this free and supported and available?
Sure. Yeah, and before I speak to the data, you remind me of 2 points. One is you mentioned that a founder would get to the point where they have investor interest, and then they begin the diligence process. And so for those who are prepared, that works out really well. And hopefully there's a relationship with that investor that's going to develop. What we oftentimes hear too, though, is the converse of that, which is if an investor isn't interested, they don't tell you why, right? They don't tell the founders why. They just say, sorry, we're not interested, and they move on. And that's there's a missed opportunity there, because there is the feedback for why the no, or why the investor isn't interested could be very helpful, but oftentimes that doesn't take place, and for various reasons and for very valid reasons. So our aim is to also provide some of that feedback. It might not apply in every scenario or every situation, but to also, to give an idea of what might be the area of concern or what might not be going right in these discussions. The second point is oftentimes we have founders who come back over multiple years because they do like the process. They want to prove that they've the changes that they've made or the achievements and the milestones that they've reached from one year to the next. So it's really exciting for us when we're able to highlight a founder. We've had founders who have made our list, who have come back to our program for 2 and 3 years. Others have never made the list, but they still keep coming back because they do feel like it's helpful for them in their planning process. So, but those are I think 2 aspects of the program that are unique and rewarding from my end for that in terms of what we're providing to founders. And then you mentioned the data. We do, take a deep dive into many companies. We do not share our data publicly. We have our terms and conditions, of course, that we agree to, and we may share within that. We may share contact information, but we don't do that on a broad basis, and we certainly, don't publish anything, that would be confidential or should be private information. So. But that said, what we hope to do is once we are in a 4th year of our program, is that we can develop some research insights that we can aggregate and be able to provide to the startup community from all angles, insights that might not otherwise exist. So one of the ways that we think about that is we're probably not going to be the best at picking the winners, right? Because that's sort of like, that's the ideal that everyone's going after. But what we may be able to do is help those that are sort of at the lower end to say, okay, we are seeing some trends here in that, if we can take the 95% and make the 95% more confident and find any red flags or anything, any insights that we can say, this is where we're actually we're gonna skim off the bottom of the spectrum and the range. We can actually make the likelihood of the startups that are not in that group, their likelihood of success may actually in fact be higher, and therefore make better investment decisions from an investor's point of view. So that's one of the ways that we're thinking about it. But again, we're 4 years into the program, and that's to come, because we also need to track companies over time to determine the outcomes
Yeah.
from what we knew maybe from a company 4 years ago.
Well, it's always peace of mind for founders just to know, where is all this information going? I think, that's one thing we love to put at ease in their minds. And definitely we know working with you guys at Pepperdine that there's an integrity to where the data is being used, how it's being used, and really the valuable service that you guys are providing. We really wanted to keep there, and we want to support definitely through the platform a lot of the questions that are continually being asked. We're looking forward to next year participating ourselves and getting more of our founders onto the list, hopefully, if we qualify and work through everything. But I am amazed at how many founders still believe, partially because of the training of what's been taught in a lot of accelerators and incubators, is that due diligence is at the end. And we need to reverse this. We need to be proactive so we can be more successful and have more successful outcomes. Let's do that due diligence right from the start. Let's get those things ready. Let's get those things prepared. Get to a faster yes, but also get to a faster aha moment if there's something we need to work on. So let's make sure that we are always presenting ourselves and our companies and moving those missions forward. And everything you're doing. Thank you so much, Amy. You've been a supporter from us from the beginning, back when we started out as She Transacts. Now here at WeTransact, we're also doing the same. We're scaling. We're wanting to make sure we can get this tool in as many founders' hands as possible and create this change. So thank you for being an ally with us and a proponent of due diligence. And hopefully we can get that change to ongoing diligence. I think it doesn't have to be due. It can't be overdue if it's just always happening, right? We need to change it to just ongoing diligence.
And as you said, it's a muscle, and it's one that you need to, if you stop working out, you slide off very quickly. So it's important work, and we do think it's a good foundation for any company that's looking to grow and propel themselves beyond, being a small business. And the other interesting thing is that, right, there's no standard. And we hear it from a lot of investor groups, and I think that's part of what you're putting together on your platform is how do we create some consistency here and take out some of the bias in the process.
Yeah.
That and look at it from an objective point of view. And so we love to partner with anyone else who's out there that's looking to do that and support that we get more founders who otherwise might not get exposure or the attention of potential investors. How can we, but yet they have a very good value proposition? How do we help those companies get to the forefront and level the playing field? So we appreciate that.
That's huge, and definitely something that resonates with us. I mean, we want to make sure that we can really diversify the access and democratize that access as many people. It's exciting that you said 50 states now, so everybody in every state.
Yeah, for 2 years in a row. So we're happy about that. And entrepreneurship and the startup ecosystems are not as strong everywhere across the U.S. We all know that, and even within states. So we're happy to be out there for founders.
Amazing. This is, as we get to the close, I want to also open up to anybody who is listening in that has questions for Amy on the due diligence or the most fundable companies while she's here with us to ask. What's some of the, what would be the number one question you get asked that we should be asking Amy?
Well, a question that we get asked about our program often is, do we invest in companies? And we do not. So we don't charge, but we also don't invest. What we do provide is exposure and PR. And so I'll just give a plug there. Our 2021 list is in the December print issue of Entrepreneur Magazine. It just came out, and it's also featured on entrepreneur.com. Oh boy, sorry. One moment.
No worries. He's excited. Or she, I don't know. Or they. Could be any. Gender neutral puppies.
The signal of the doorbell went off. So yay. And so we are excited. We're on entrepreneur.com. It just came out last week and we're in the December print issue. So all of our list winners, there are 16 from this year, are
Amazing.
all featured there right now. And that's sort of the culmination of our month-long PR campaign that we launched. Our first announcement was back on October 14th. So we've been out and making some noise about our 2021 list winners since then.
Well, we'll be cheering them all on to celebrate their successful diligence journey with you guys, and to really normalize that diligence is part of the founder's job. It's being a responsible founder, it's being a prepared founder, and it's also being responsible for the missions. I mean, I think we all have such big heart. We've all taken a lot of risks to go out in the world and build and create these services, products, or communities that we want to see better the world. So we have to be responsible if we're going to follow through with that. And we really appreciate all the info about it. We're going to share your link as well as any questions that you may have. We will share Amy's LinkedIn. You can go to the itinerary for today. And we have, of course, linked AmyWood so you can connect online. Feel free. I don't want to invite too many DMs, but feel free to DM her on LinkedIn if you have additional questions. But really, everything's on the website. You guys have done an amazing job answering all the main questions. We are excited in the next summit to be inviting some of those winners that are on the list to our next summit. So you will be able to hear from the founders themselves what it was like, what they went through. It'll be really fun to hear the other side of it. But Amy, this is great, and we can't wait to be working with you in 2022. It's going to be a good year.
It's going to be a great year. And I'll share one last fact, which is we do report out in the aggregate, as I mentioned, our list winners since 2018. It's a number that's counting and rising since we just announced our last cohort, but we've raised the founders who've been named to our list have since raised $88 million. So we love to see that number increase, and we know that it will. And thank you so much for inviting me here today to speak with you, Alexa. It's good to see you as always.
Our pleasure, and let's keep that number rolling and soaring. We'll make it extra.
And I attended one of your events, so I'm on your mailing list, so I get the information, and so it's all thanks to Alexis. So it's very, very nice. It's good to see that the startup founders then are doing well afterwards also, because as founders we all need support. I don't know any founders, at least in my circle, who are friends who are, just taking the money. We need the support as well, which is very important to make the company a success.
That's right. There are many aspects to it, and it's not all about getting funded. Many are seeking that, but the timing and priorities, and oftentimes it's, if you don't have to give away equity in your company, then you're better off as well. So there are many different outcomes that are favorable for the founders. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Amy. This is wonderful. A round of applause. We are going to take a quick pause here just for a few minutes as we prepare for some of our live stack pitches of Circle One, who have been doing quite a bit of due diligence. So perfect transition for us over there. And thanks, Amy. We look forward to having your companies back at the next summit.
Thank you.
Cool. Thanks so much, Amy.
Should I be leaving now?
You're welcome to.
You're still recording? Okay. All right. Thanks so much.